signaling that it is all for peaceful restoration of the status quo ante in the eastern Ladakh, but is also prepared for the worst-case scenario. The Indian Army has deployed 1690 missile-firing tanks and top-of-the-line soldier-fired anti-tank missile system in the Galwan Valley sector. The senior military commanders from India and China also met at Chushul on Tuesday to work out the de-escalation and disengagement process on mutual terms. The last two meetings at the Corp Commander level were held on June 6 and June 22nd. On June 22nd, talks took place between India and Chinese military delegates for around 11 hours. Indian Army decided to deploy T-90 Bismarck tanks in Galwan Valley after the Chinese People's Liberation Army has beefed up its positions on the riverbed with armored personnel carriers and troop tanks. The Indian Army is occupying the dominant heights in the sector within its side of the line of actual control. Infantry combat vehicles along with 155 mm howitzers have been deployed all along the 1,597-kilometer-long LSC in East Ladakh, with two tanks regiment deployed in Chushul sector to reply an aggressive plans of China through the Spangur Gap, while Chinese PLA wants to make a deal on the LSC in this sector. As a part of the withdrawal, the Indian Army is in no mood to give up an inch as the military aggressions came from the Western Theater Command of China with the intentions of redefining the LSE. According to the military commandants, India is prepared for a long haul in this limited spectrum with capacity of a full spectrum retaliations in case the red flag goes up. With the water temperatures in the river already touching 10 below zero and the riverbed's temperature more frosty than the dominant heights due to the temperature inversions, it is only a matter of time when General Winter takes over the area and makes Chinese position in Galwan Valley unattainable. While the PLA propaganda talks about the introductions of troops trained in martial arts in the East Ladakh sector, fact is that the Chinese foot soldiers is conscripted into the army for 2 years, unlike the Indian hardy troopers who stayed a minimum of 17 years. Since 1984, the Indian troopers have been trained in high-altitude war to repel Pakistan Army from taking over the Siachen glaciers and have been sitting at heights of over 15,000 feet in both Kargil as well as East Ladakh sector. Indian Army sources said the general morale of the Indian military commanders and troops is very high, with both Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy deployed in the highest state of alertness. Majority of the Chinese PLA Air Force fighters are taking off from the Hotan Air Base in the Taklamakan Desert, some 240 kilometers from the LSE, with surface-to-air missiles deployed to counter the Indian fighters. But Indians are definitely in a better position to counter any Chinese flare-up here. Bureau Report.